Alright, so I wanted to give my opinion on Brianna Maitland. I'll start off by saying if you hear any background noise or I seem a little distracted or maybe I get distracted, it's because I'm actually doing the audio for this video while I'm driving to work. It's a pretty long drive, so this is the only quiet time I really have. But Brianna Maitland, she disappeared March 19, 2004. She was 17 years old. She left her job at the Black Lantern Inn in Montgomery, Vermont, sometime after 11 p.m. in her 1988 Oldsmobile Delta 88. She's not been seen or heard from since, but her car was later found abandoned about a mile away from where she worked, within a few hours in the early mornings of March 20th. So the people that drove by, there were some witnesses that drove by and seen the car, and some witnesses said that her doors were open and her turn signal light could have been on. This is my opinion. I think that Brianna was killed by a stalker. Her father said that not many people knew she was working at the Black Lantern Inn. Well, I think her stalker was a co-worker. I think that it's more than likely going to be somebody in his 20s, late 20s, early 30s, somebody that found Brianna attractive, and somebody that Brianna didn't find too attractive herself. I think that the events that unfolded March 19, 2004 were as follows. I think that Brianna, after she got her GED, she may have went outside and the co-worker could have possibly been hanging around the area. She may have seen him then. Later that day, her mother takes her shopping. I guess she was getting some pants for her new job she was getting ready to start in the morning. She said Brianna looked out the window and started acting sort of weird and said she'd be right back. And Brianna left the store like she had seen somebody out there. I think at which time Brianna seen her co-worker's car out there, and she went to try to confront them, and they probably drove off. At which time Brianna's mom goes back out to the car where Brianna is out of sorts and sort of distant and maybe even cold. I believe that she didn't tell her mother that a co-worker was stalking her because she didn't want her mother to worry. I believe that she could have also believed that it was just a coincidence that she was seeing that co-worker all over town. She works with this guy. He gives her the creeps, but maybe she thinks she's overreacting. So she starts seeing him periodically through the day because he's following her because he is obsessed with her. Okay, I think that she's weirded out and she's thinking something's up, but she also thinks that she may be overreacting, so that's why she doesn't tell anybody. But when she goes home, she gets ready for her shift at the Black Lantern Inn, and she leaves her roommate a note saying, "I will return tonight after my shift." I think she done this because she was weirded out by the co-worker that was actually stalking her, but she didn't tell anybody because she thought she was overreacting again. But she left a note because she knew, she just had this little bit of doubt that she wasn't crazy and that this guy was following her. So that's why she left the roommate a note saying she would return after work. This is the first time she ever left her roommate a note like this, according to her roommate. I think she went to work, wearing her apron, because dishwashers often wear aprons. I was a dishwasher. I wore an apron. I think she went to work and she was washing dishes, and I believe everything, everything between her and that coworker was awkward at first. And then the coworker starts to notice, like, she's seen me today. How can I make it less awkward? This is her stalker. So he goes up to her and says, now this is just my opinion. He goes up to her and says, hey, I thought I seen you out and about today. I was down by the store picking out a jacket, or I was down by the store picking out boots. Or look, I got me a new jacket or shirt. And Brianna, that eased her mind a little bit, because that eased her mind enough to where she didn't necessarily feel comfortable around that guy, but she started to feel comfortable at work. Maybe it was just a coincidence, I was overreacting, but she wasn't. I believe he possibly talked to her, or he possibly avoided her. But either way, he cleared the air and let Brianna know, this is why you've seen me out and about. I wasn't, pretty much, he didn't say it, but he's pretty much saying I wasn't stalking you. So she wasn't freaked out a little bit. So she continues to wash dishes and clean tables off, at which time she's putting the change from the tables in her apron. I think the night is awkward, but it's almost calming for Brianna, because she believes that guy's telling her the truth, and that he actually had a legitimate reason for being everywhere where he's seen her, where she's seen her coworker that day. I think then Brianna went to clock out, at which time she obtained 2 uncashed paychecks from the Black Lantern Inn and put those in her apron as well. I think as she was walking out, and this is from a coworker statement, I'm not sure, maybe the owner or the coworker, somebody stated that they asked Brianna to go out for a late night dinner, and Brianna said no, she had to work in the morning. I believe at which time the coworker probably had planned, if Brianna would have said yes to the dinner invitation, he probably had planned to drug her. Or maybe he had plans to get her alone, to drug her, and then offer to drive her home, and then do whatever he wanted. But I believe that her coworker had his mind made up that day he started stalking her, that Brianna was his victim. I believe after she denied him, he finally went off the deep end. He's obsessed with Brianna. So, and this is just my opinion, that was the plan. He was going to drug her at dinner. She denied. She drives off. The owner said that, nobody followed her out of here, and she drove off by herself. Well, I believe the coworker waited a few minutes and may have went in and told the other coworkers, hey, I'm going to hang out for 10 more minutes and leave, and then he just disappeared and left. I believe at which time he got in his vehicle, whether that be a truck or a car, he flew down the road in the direction that he knew Brianna would be traveling. He flashed his lights behind her, trying to get her to stop. She wouldn't stop. She may have known it was a coworker. She may have not known. But she wasn't going to stop after 11 p.m. at night on a dark, desolate 2-lane road for anybody. So she kept driving. She sped up. The coworker, as they approached the Dutchburn house, the coworker pulls in front of her, blocking both lanes of traffic. Brianna realizes at this present time, oh shit, that's my coworker. That's the guy that's stalking me. It's happening. And she puts the car in reverse, slams the car to the right, punches on the gas, at which time her car shoots backwards and pins itself up on the foundation of the Dutchburn house, enabling her rear wheels from spinning. Her car did not have traction because it was a rear-wheel drive car. It could not move. At which time the coworker runs up, opens her door, starts trying to either shoot her up with something or administer a cloth or some kind of chloroform or roofie drug. And Brianna's fighting, scratching, biting, kicking like hell. She's fighting. trying to get this man off of her, and at which time the turn signal gets knocked on. I believe after this, he either administered the drug or hit her pretty hard, but Brianna was able to kick him in the groin or the face or whatever. She was able to break free from her attacker, flip over on her belly, crawl towards the passenger door, get the passenger door open. Maybe she gouged the guy in the eyes. At which time the change and paychecks fell out of her apron onto the seat and the floorboard. Believe she was able to make it out the passenger side car. That's why the passenger door was open. The driver either went through the car after her or ran around the front of the car, chasing her through the field, and at which time the drugs he administered or the damage that he done to Brianna by hitting her took into effect. She slowed down enough to where he could catch her, and he either done what he done in that field right there and then drug her body off, or he drugged her and hauled her off somewhere to act out some sick fantasy that he may have had planned. I believe that it was Brianna's co-worker. Now, she very well could have been on drugs, but I don't think it's likely that she accumulated enough drug debt at 17 years old. It is possible, but I don't find it likely, that warranted her death. She owes this person. You got to ask yourself this. If Brianna owed a drug debt to a person, in order for that person to affront to Brianna, they would have had to know her well enough to front her that large quantity of drugs. Okay? If they knew Brianna well enough, they knew that she was broke. I mean, no offense, but she didn't have any money. She was working 2 jobs. She's barely making it. That's why I don't believe the drug debt theory. She may have been on drugs. She may have owed somebody $60, $100, $300, but she didn't owe enough money for a drug dealer to kill her. And Kelly LaCrosse, I don't believe she done it. One, she's been cleared by police, and I know that there's been people cleared by police that actually committed the murder. But Kaylee LaCrosse assaulted Brianna 3 weeks prior to her disappearance. I think that Kaylee LaCrosse probably had an attorney because they were going to court, and the defense attorney or whatever told her, you're probably only going to get probation, maybe 10 days in jail. And I doubt that. Probably no jail time whatsoever. Probably just 1129 probation or 2 years probation. That's it. So I don't really think Kaylee LaCrosse is going to risk 25 years to life for premeditated murder to hide in Brianna's back seat and kill her over a pending assault charge. Even if Kaylee LaCrosse was looking at jail time, I don't think that she wasn't going to get life, but she could potentially get life if she killed Brianna. So why would she? That doesn't make any sense. You know, the pros don't outweigh the cons there, so, I mean, we got to think about it. Kaylee LaCrosse, assault, 1129 probation, possibly 10 days in jail, 2 years probation, 3 years probation, whatever. She wasn't going to get in that serious of trouble. She wasn't. As opposed to murdering Brianna, premeditated murder of Brianna Maitland, and getting her whole life took from her. I don't find that likely. And I also don't like how they say that somebody wasn't in the back seat because they didn't know Brianna's time or work schedule. This doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't mean somebody wasn't in the back seat. Her time schedule does not have anything to do with somebody being in the back seat or not. I mean, yeah, they would have had to been back there. They would have had to. They said that they would have had to know what time she was getting off. That's not the case, because if somebody's hell bent on killing Brianna, they would have waited in the back of that car for hours. I don't believe that's what happened, but I believe they would have waited in the car for hours if they were hell bent on killing Brianna. Look at any stalker that's committed murders. Anybody that's obsessed with their victims and committed murders. They've stalked them for days, weeks, months, years. Stalker will stay under your bed they'll sleep under your bed. They'll stay under your bed for 8 hours. So if somebody is willing to kill you, and they're wanting to kill you bad enough because they're obsessed with you, or they're wanting you to disappear, a few hours is not going to make a difference. That doesn't, to me, exclude somebody from being in the back seat. It does not. But I think Brianna was killed by her coworker, one of her coworkers. Don't know which one, but I'm sure this guy could possibly have assault charges on women, some other kind of sex crime. Could be a predator of some sort. Could involve children, could involve women, could involve domestic issues. But I believe that her coworker is going to be an older male, possibly with a criminal record. And I believe that older male was obsessed with Brianna, and after she did not play into his advances, he finally went off the deep end and decided to kill her. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And like I said, guys, I'm sorry if I seem like I'm all over the place. I'm trying to drive right now. This is the only quiet time I get. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for listening.